Today's card is a tribute to my grandpa, Ted. He was 90 years old when he died. He was a World War II vet and one of the best and most fun grandpas you could ever ask for, and I'm happy that my kids got to know him as well. So let me take you through my process for creating a masculine card that is fit for any grandpa or dad and perfect for birthdays or Father's Day. This card was inspired by patterns in the Pendleton Woolen Mills catalog that I get. So I got my scraps out and I started sorting them by color, and after I got enough scraps I started cutting strips of paper so that I could line them up just like you see in the blankets. Starting from the center of your card template, work in a mirror image so that the colors are reflected on either side. So you can see in the middle there's a gold foil, and on either side is the same, and I continue to build out with the same color from the center. This is going to replicate that same sort of pattern that the Pendleton Wool Mills blankets have, that is reminiscent of like an American Indian design. After I get done gluing down my strips, I trim both sides to make it even. And then I go through, I use my beautiful shapes dies to create these triangles out of watercolor paper. And you can emboss your papers before you cut them if you want to add more texture, something like Tasteful Textiles embossing folder from Stampin' Up! Or something like that. But I don't recommend embossing after you create the blanket. I continue with the playful alphabet addition signs to make those cross patterns, and I'm going to create a base that looks like weathered wood. This is the Heart and Home suite of products that this paper came from, and I curl the edges with my bone folder, and I distress the edges with Sahara Sand Stampin' Up! Ink. This adds just a little bit of interest, and I don't really like to use paper without manipulating it in some way. I don't ever really use the paper just as is. It's good to fray the edges, weather them, soften them up, just sort of break up that manufactured or industrial look that paper comes with when it's brand new. Here I'm taking a corner of scrap paper and I'm just going in with glue, and I'm nailing down any loose ends of papers that might be sticking up. And again, going in and weathering the edges with the Sahara Sand to the little blanket. Adding a little bit of interest to the edges just to kind of keep it from looking too new. Soften up those corners. And bend it a little bit just to sort of soften it up and give it a little bit of shape. Now before I mount this to the card face, there's still a few more elements that I need to take care of. So I'm going to pull my die cuts from the Nature's Harvest die set that was from last year's, one of last year's mini catalogs. And I'm going to take some Bumblebee. I believe this is Pale Papaya, this paper that I'm using. And it adds a nice straw color, and I'm going to put some green, some garden green or old olive on the bottom there. And these fern dies are from the Iconic die set. And then here I've got some vintage Stampin' Up! Stamps that look like screw heads and metal plates and things, and I'm going to add that sort of time-weathered look to the front of the card. This one kind of looks like something you might see on an old sewing machine, and it's an old stamp. And I have a stamp die that I am going to use as well. Get those cut. Those are stamped in Early Espresso Stampin' Inks. I like that brown color a lot. And then I'm going to go into my stash and pull some ephemera. There I've got some Stampin' Up! Ribbon, some denim ribbon from the Heart and Home collection, as well as some buttons and keys and different things that I think would be a good fit. I'm going to put some Stampin' dimensionals on the back of my little blanket there, mount it to the card face, and now I'm going to start arranging these different organic elements. I kind of wanted it to have a log cabin feel to it, so that is kind of the design concept behind it. And my grandpa really wasn't a cabin kind of guy, but he did love camping. He loved being outdoors, and he enjoyed nature. He enjoyed bird watching, and I just think that he would have really enjoyed the craftsmanship behind this card. So that's kind of the idea behind it. I've used some washi tape to help keep my playful alphabet letters there straight. That is cinnamon cider. Those letters are cut from. And then the Stampin' dimensionals once again to secure it to the front, and arranging the stamps. That pine cone came from the Peaceful Deer Suite. That was a celebration item. And another thing to note, I've cut the second layer of letters with the playful alphabet dies. They have a foam backing so that they have dimension. And the last idea I had was to create a fake key out of paper. The idea of attaching a really heavy old brass key to the card didn't seem to have a level of sophistication that I wanted to add to this card. So I'm cutting a couple of key templates. I've stamped them to distress them, and off camera here I use embossing powder to add a little bit of texture to them, and gluing them together, and then I'm going to secure them with some of the Playful Pets twine that I have, and using a safety pin I will pin it to that denim ribbon. Even though I found some of these things in my stash, I also used some Stampin' Up! Embellishments. There was these little rocks that came with the Jungle Celebration paper pumpkin kit, and I used my Take Your Pick tool to add those because they kind of look like river stones. I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration, and I hope you'll tune in next week. Like, share, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to ring the bell so you'll be notified when I go live and release new videos. Thank you for watching.